My son was stabbed. He lay almost lifeless on that floor. Because of social media, the word went around very quickly. I was called by his friends. The saddest thing is the moment I was told he's been stabbed. I didn't know whether he was alive, he's dead.
Personally, I've attended over 30 memorial services for young boys that got killed through knife. One thing I've realized over a period of 20 years that I've been working with the young people and family is that we as Black family don't have a community.
He was stabbed in the stomach, then he was stabbed on the side, and finally he was stabbed in the chest. It happened so quickly to him, and the knife broke into his chest.
What more do you think we can do? The police, do they have the answers?
The problem is multifaceted.
It's a lot.
And it needs multi-systemic approach. The community needs to come together. The moment the community is ready, the knife crime will stop.
In whisper share, tales unfold, through voices strong, stories told, connections formed, we find our place, echoes of our
Hello,
community.
welcome back to Echoes of Our Community. This is a platform of podcast where we look at topics that impact on our lives, on our communities. On this platform, or on this podcast, we share stories that are vulnerable but are real. We want to make sure that our stories are real so that we can make real impact. And we are here to make sure that what we say, as true as they might be, as sincere as they might be, they will provide that positive impact. So I want to welcome you once again. My name is Margaret Taribo. I'm your host. And today I have two wonderful ladies with me, and we'll be sharing a lot about what's happening in our community today, but using our stories and the fact that we're getting into the work we do because of what we are seeing that is not too nice in our community. So with me today, I have Cllr Fummi Ademilua. I hope I've said that well.
Yes.
And then I've got Melissa with us today. Before we go into the nitty-gritty of the stories, I'd like to share some facts about what we're talking about today, because we have a background of what's happening. We're talking about knife crime. It's a very touchy subject, a very delicate, a very painful thing. Not just for us as a community, for the politicians that sometimes feel they have the answers, but they don't. But let's just talk about it. So what we're saying here is that knife crime in Southeast London specifically, there's no direct available statistics, not really, but it's quite high. And what we found out that in Southwark, or Lambeth and Lewisham, Southwark is the fourth worst in the city between November 2020 and December 2023 to have the highest rate of knife crime. And overall, the trend showed that knife crime has increased across London in recent years, with 16% rise in knife crime related incidents between October 2023 and September 2024, compared to the previous years, resulting in over 16,500 recorded incidents. That is just saying it lightly. So that is the stats. But we're not going to talk about the stats. Now we want to go to the real story. With us, we've got Cllr Fummi. And I want to just tell us, you've been involved in this work, but where did it start from? What motivated you? Some people are in it for whatever reason, but let's hear your story.
Good evening. Thank you very much for having me here. And I really appreciate and I most commend on your work.
Thank you.
And thank you very much for what you do.
Thank you.
As you know, I'm a counselor by profession. My background is in counseling and development management practitioner. Losing my father as a young girl was a crucial moment for me. Growing up in a polygamous environment. And in my 20s, I traveled to Austria, Vienna, together with my spouse. and I had my 3 children in Austria. However, due to professional reasons, my spouse relocated to London and then left us behind in Vienna. At some point, we had to join him to build the family unit. And then when we came, the life in the UK or London is slightly different to what we are used to, especially my children. Speaking German and then finding themselves in an environment where English is the predominant language. So it was very difficult for my children. I came in with my last child. She was about 6 months when I came in. But my first son was, I think, in year 7 level. My second one was to start primary school at that time. However, I think I'll focus more on what prompted my humanitarian work. And that will be about my first son, who found himself in a difficult environment where language was a bit difficult for him. And then forming a new friends was also a difficult situation for him. And as a result of that, he's been bullied because of his language barrier. And then we started struggling with that and having that problem. So we ended up taking him back to Nigeria because of that.
Wow.
Being apart from my son was a very difficult time for me as a mother.
Yes.
Because I've never had any of my children living apart from me. My first son was in Nigeria for about 5 years.
Wow. That's a long time.
It was very difficult. And in between that moment, I began investigating, finding out the missing gap. What is it that we parents can do to support our children? I totally understand African parents. The idea of we working round the clock to make ends meet and making sure that we provide everything our children need for them. But at the same time, we need to, there's a need to balance on how we are working and the time that we need to spend with our children.
Yeah.
So because my son was sent back home in 2009. And then the first month that my child was sent back home, I was expecting to hear from the government, from the school, or probably from the local authority. Nobody cared about my son. I think my son had been in Nigeria for a couple of months before a career advisor called me saying that he has not heard from my son. And I thought, wow, is that how it works? So if we had not stood in the gap to prevent and protect our child, a lot of things would have happened. So that was the beginning of my interest and of my work in the community.
Wow.
Yes.
And you are the founder of the Good Samaritan Foundation,
yes,
which works with young people.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you want to tell us a bit more about that?
Yes. In 2010, during there was another ugly incident. A family friend of mine sons got killed. And I said to myself, I think there's a need for parents to be more involved in what is happening to our children. I think they are losing focus. And they also have the belief that no one is available or ready to listen to them. And I think it's about giving them that space to come to you and be able to talk to you freely without being judged.
Yes.
For that reason, in 2010, that incident occurred. And then in 2011, a few months later, there was the London riot. And that was the moment I said to God and myself that I'm going to be a mommy to African children across London.
Wow.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing. That is quite touching. And because of that work, you brought the wonderful, the lovely Melissa today. And we want to hear from you, Melissa. Do you want to tell us where you're from? And to say thank you for making yourself available and for bringing her along today. What do you want to tell us?
Well, I'm here today as a mother who is, from a victim point of view, my son was stabbed at 15. And I really want to share that story because I think there's a lot of mums out there and relatives and the perspective of what happens. And as like Cllr Fummi has said, and how we've come together. So, well, obviously I'll start, long story short. My son had gone for a party. It was a school party. And it was a harrowing, and I'm sure a lot of parents will probably relate to me. And as much as I didn't want him to go to this party, I had a bad feeling.
Okay, he was 15 then?
He was 15 then. He went with his brother, who was 17 at the time. And we did all the necessary checks for this party. It was one of his classmates and he was invited. So it was a well, sort of secure party. They had security. They'd done all the checks. It was just from class. So he said, Mum, I don't want to be left out. And I could understand what he was talking about, as much as, I come from a Christian background and I was discouraging him about Halloween. But then he said, Mum, if I don't go, then in school, people will be saying again in class, you don't come. And again, the bullying will start and all this sort of things. So in the end, he went for the party. So the party was fine. It was absolutely fine. And they, young people, it was all controlled. And I spoke to local community leaders. We did everything, did the checks, because I was worried. I just had a bad feeling. And unfortunately, as the party started, because of social media, the party started having views and people started inviting each other, get crushes. And that's where the problem started. So then there were, 200 people turned up who were not now invited to the party. They were not let in. And obviously young people became upset and they left. Obviously they were told to leave, police were called, and I think they dispersed the crowd. But what had happened is it made a lot of the younger people upset, and invited guests are there. My son said, this is getting dangerous. Let's go home. And he took his brother, he said, let's go home. Wise thing to do, because I'd say to them, look, if things get out of hand, just leave. get a cab and make your way home. And they did that. They listened. And they left the party, went to the nearest petrol station. And while they're there, 4 young boys came and they rushed in to them because they're black. And the boys were Caucasians. And they just went straight to the elder brother. He was wearing a big puffer jacket. It was really big and really puffy. So he was the first one to be stabbed. He didn't realize the young boys had knives. And straight away, he cut through the jacket. Now, it was so puffy, he didn't notice, didn't feel anything. He thought, what are you doing? What's happening? And they're talking. Then the younger brother, unaware that the older brother is battling with somebody with people with knives, because they didn't see them. They were hiding the knives within their own, underneath their clothes. Straight on, he was stabbed in the stomach. Then he was stabbed on the side. And finally, he was stabbed in the chest. It happened so quickly to him, and the knife broke into his chest. And that's how the stabbing stopped, because he was not able to continue the stabbing. And he was just bleeding, and it took him a while to work out he's got blood. Now, this is unprovoked, and the reason I come here today is a lot of parents think knife crime is about your child has done something wrong. No. They have access to knives. It's become a trend. It's become something they just do. They don't think. It was completely unprovoked. They're not aware. They're young. They've gone to a party. They're young people. You would think, they have some sense of, I'm doing something wrong. That didn't happen. My son was stabbed, and he lay, almost lifeless on that floor. And because of social media, the word went around very quickly. I was called by his friends, and I think the saddest thing is the moment I was told he's been stabbed. And I didn't know whether he was alive, he's dead. I froze. My mind went blank. He was then obviously rushed to a completely different hospital because he was, because of the risk. They didn't know what's going on. And, this young boy at that point ran away, with the others, they ran away. But obviously, I had, at that point, as you can imagine, 2 young boys who've just been stabbed, one not injured and the other is injured. So it is devastating. And when Cllr Fummi comes to say, let's do something about knife crime, no one understands unless you've been through the situation, unless you've got mums like me who were there. And sort of, where do you start? You want justice, but it's also another child. This was also another 15-year-old. It wasn't an adult. It wasn't somebody with knowledge. It's another child. And why have they done it? Because they want to go for a party. They are not invited. You start wondering what homes they've come from, what brokenness has happened. It's hard. It's complicated. But I didn't get immediate support because nobody understands it. Nobody understood. Where do you start? How do you get angry at another child who's hurt your child? Because you're a mum. You want to care for them too, but it's hard. It's very hard. And I think in our communities, what we're lacking is the support we can give to mums, we can give to parents, we can give to guardians, we can give to those who care for young children, how to protect themselves in this situation. You know, you're not going to know that somebody has a knife. It's not safe. It didn't matter where it is. My son is stabbed at a petrol station. There's cameras. He's just buying a drink. He's not doing anything. So I know when we talk of knife crime, a lot of people are saying, oh, they've gone into drugs, or they've gone into this, or there's something else. No, but that was not it. He's just there. And because we haven't addressed these issues in our own communities in the right way, our young people don't know how to behave. And following the aftermath from this incident, obviously they had to operate from and take off the knife. It missed his lungs. It missed his heart and lungs with inches, and obviously lung could have been punctured because only millimeters. And truly, he could have died on the spot. He was lucky that the knife broke. He has a scar on his face, and it's a permanent scar. And constantly reminding him of what has happened. Painful reminder on your face. There's not much they can do because it's really long, across the whole face.
So they slashed him on the face?
They slashed him in the face, he's got a wound which just missed his organs in the stomach, obviously his chest and heart. So he's got 3 major stab wounds. But they were for nothing. Absolutely nothing. Not for, he didn't do anything to him. He didn't say anything. He was thinking he's protecting his brother because somebody's come to say something. He didn't realize these boys had knives. They had knives underneath the trousers. By following this, a lot of young boys became angry. And I know there was social media, let's revenge. The revenge thing was where it became bad. Let's revenge. Within 10 minutes, 2,000 or 3,000 young people were saying, let's go out to the streets, let's go kill each other, let's go kill the other person. It became such a dangerous thing, and I had to work with the police to put that under control. And I said, no, tell people, no, this is not the way. No revenging, no going back. Learn, no. I kept saying no and praying that they don't go out in the streets, because we would have had a riot, we would have had a whole lot of other things. And a lot of parents don't understand how many times my son came back from school, from friends, with knives. He was given them. Protect yourself. Put them under your bed. And many times we called the police to come and collect. Please come and take the knives. So it's not that they want to do it, but, coming here today, I met a young girl who was in the street, and she said, as young as 8-year-olds are with knives. And they're going in because it starts off apparently with vaping now. And from the vapes, they start getting little things, and they get grooming for all sorts of things. And we can never understand the society we live in is different. I mean, I come from a different background. The children are not coming from a place where they were struggling and suffering. No, I've been a business person for 25 years. I worked in healthcare recruitment and HR professional. Father's the same in business. So we're not coming from a place where many people think it's because you're all struggling. Yeah. There's no money. No, it's not like that. It doesn't matter what the background is. And I think this is what people needs to be educated. You can relax saying, oh, I go to work, I'm not in that bracket. There's no bracket. There is no bracket. As long as your children are out there, they're not safe.
Can I ask, there are two things that I'd like to ask them, because it's like, is there a solution? Before I ask them what solutions or what can we do? How the trauma for your son, how has that impact? Oh, it's been some years now. How long ago was that? And how has that affected him going to school, coming home? I know you talked about the knives, but how has that made him feel? Does it trigger,
Well, he's had to drop out of mainstream school. It was hard. It was difficult. Obviously, it was known. And it became very difficult for him. And I don't think he's ever recovered. You can't. We haven't all recovered. I haven't recovered from it. It's hard because when you walk down the streets, you start wondering if somebody's got a knife behind you. Many times I'll look over my shoulders, because you don't know. Because this is not some criminals that have come out of prison no, these young people who are hurting and injuring others. And most cases we've had, it's gone in the wrong direction and people have died.
There's something else you said, still coming back to the solutions, about our community is not understanding, because what we're getting is that we are so judgmental in saying, where was mom? What are you doing about it? They must be in gangs, they must be doing drugs and things like that. So what can we do to, in order, I think this is part of what we're doing tonight, is to let's create that awareness that it's not, we don't put people in a bracket to say, oh, it's because of this or that. It's about creating that awareness that we need to do something. Councillor Fummi, you have been a support, really. What more do you think we can do? The police, do they have the answers? Who has the answers? Do we have the answers? What can we do? How do I've had so many people on our podcast to talk about how do we support young people better? How do we get them out of this?
It's always heartbreaking for me whenever I listen to Lady Melissa's story. Personally, I've attended over 30 memorial services for young boys, most of them boys, that got killed through knife. And most of the time, parents, we have this high expectation from the law enforcement agency, thinking that they are the only institution that can help solve this problem. But one thing I've realized over a period of 20 years that I've been working with the young people and family is that we as Black family don't have a community. And then I think if we start solving the problem from setting up a community, that is our own, then we will be able to identify some of the problems and then finding solutions to them. I think the first thing is to have community, because we can't rely on police alone, because the problem is multifaceted.
It's a lot.
And it needs multi-systemic approach. And it's not going to be just the parent. They need a support network, and the community needs to come together. And I'll always say that the moment the community is ready, the knife crime will stop.
Wow.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I got support from not just, I mean, the police were supportive, but as we can see, they have stretched resources, and we have to be fair with that. As much as, you know, they have their own ways of helping and supporting, but I've had to resort to other community leaders, you know, some church groups, some, you know, organizations, you know, like Road Light. I work with them, and there were others, you know, who were supporting me, who were supporting my children. And what I found is when the young, especially when we come to those long summer holidays, or where there's that gap, this is where crime increases, because the young children are bored. They don't have anything to do. They don't have any new skills to learn. And I think a lot of these faith-based organizations don't realize how much impact they can actually have on our young people. So having learned this, my 14-year-old and the younger ones, I've put them and made sure that they are now busy. They are fully aware and doing stuff and understanding the community around them. They have things that they're constantly doing. So I know a lot of families, especially Black families, they're not so much interested in getting your children into activities and doing stuff, but get them out to swimming. You have them something to do every single day. The less they are around outside, the better it is for us. So get them football, get them, it's not even just about what they do, but the more they interact, the more they are talking, the less likely they're going to have issues with others around, and the less groups are formed.
One of the things that we do is also looking at parents and their children together, because you can put them into activities, but there's still that disengagement from parents. So we start early to say parents and child engagement activities, go to the theatre. So the program I run called My Child and Me, looking at those things so that the cultural conflict is reduced. If you don't understand the child might not understand you. So it's about so that's one element. So we run holiday programs, but we want to do it in a different way to say, let the parents also be involved. So that's one of the things. But we need as many like that, like what you're doing as well, so we could engage. But also the fact that awareness is quite key. And also, so even in the summer that children are not, well, we stop them from being bored, but we still can't. Some children just still want to stay at home and be on their games. But what more can the parents do? And how can we create that awareness? How can we empower ourselves, whether you're working or not? Because sometimes people will say, well, it's them, it's not me. And God forbid, it can come to your doorstep. So it's about, even if it's not you, just have that empathy for other families. So I think this is where we will need to do more work together. I don't know what you have to say to that.
Yes, I think sensitization is very important. Most of African parents don't understand, like Lady Melissa said, what some of our children are going through. I give a free space for them to come and talk to me. And because of the confidentiality aspect of my job, there are some things that young people share with me that I wonder if they are living under
the same
roof with their parents. So I think what is very important for us to do, parents need to understand the culture, because I was brought up in Nigeria, and coming to Europe and seeing the lifestyle here, it's not totally different from the same upbringing, but the environment is different from the environment that I grew up in. So we need to understand that. It's very important that we encourage parents to integrate more, to be able to understand what their kids are going through. A child once shared with me that he was bullied in school, told the parent, but they never believed he was bullied. So he had to rely on his peer support to get revenge for what they did to him. So I think it's very important that parents need to understand that, that kids are going through a lot. Mental health is also a key issue that we need to look into. Since pandemic, it's added a tougher layer to what we used to see, before the pandemic. So I think many parents are in denial, even when they know that their kids are going through mental health, they take them to church. So I think we have started. The awareness is key, and I really look forward to working with different stakeholders, organizations that are interested in working with us.
So that's what we're about. That is what we're about. You've heard about my program, My Child and Me. That's what we look at, mental health through culture. So we look at cultural conflict. We look at families that have been in Africa, but they come here and they're bringing up children in a different culture. How do we get the parents to understand the system? So for those that might want to, please sign up for this program, and hopefully we will do a lot more work together because it's not just about stopping the knife crime. It's about creating that awareness, understanding the system, and being consistent and resilient about it. And hopefully we will reduce what is happening, and the police will see, the criminal justice system will see, and that's the work. But it's got to start from us. I want to say thank you, Melissa, for making yourself vulnerable this evening, from sharing. I've learned a lot from you tonight, and I think our viewers have also learned a lot. And thank you, Cllr Fummi. It's been a pleasure. It's been a pleasure. Hopefully we'll get you back again, and we'll do more, and we can show the results of the work we're doing, because that's what we want. Once we start this, we can say, yes, we've done this, now come and see. And that's what we want the community to see, and hopefully we'll do that together. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So viewers, you've heard tonight about what we're going through. It's not just a quick fix. It's a gradual process, but we need to create the awareness, and that's what we've done here tonight, and we want to do much more. Please share, like, and subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Please comment as well, because we want to hear what your thoughts are and what we can do together, because it is about echoing what our community is saying and how we can do something about it. I'll see you next time on Echoes of Our Community. Thank you so much. I'm your host again, Margaret Taribo. God bless.